Welcome to the Academic Woman Amplified podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Mazak, tenured full professor, mom of three, and firm believer that the culture of academia needs to change radically. Women are revolutionizing academia within institutions that were not built for us. If you're ready to reject the culture of overwork, kick guilt and overwhelm to the curb, and amplify your voice to make a real impact on your field without breaking down or burning out, you're in the right place. And it all starts with writing. Let's go. It's about that time of the semester if you're listening in real time. In a traditional North American semester system, which usually lasts about 15 weeks, during week 10, things are really starting to come to a head. Here's what I mean. You have more than one assignment waiting for grading, so you're officially backlogged. There are suddenly so many meetings and reports due. Now, you'll probably push the reports until the end of the semester after grades are turned in, which means they'll be late, but, something's got to give. Panicked students are starting to show up at office hours, which means you can't use that time to check email and procrastinate grading anymore. Your lesson plans used to be typed out in a Google Doc at least, but now they're jottings on a sticky note that you've got stuck to your hand while you're giving class, or stuck to the pile of grading that you keep carrying around the university with you. You've been doing okay with making time to write, but now those 1 to 2 hours once or twice a week during your tiger time are overrun with meetings, grading, students, and exhaustion. And you think the writing will need to wait. Now, I'm an academic writing coach, so you might think that I'm going to tell you to methodically stick to your writing plan. But actually, I'm going to tell you that maybe the writing can wait. Are you surprised? Let me explain. The semesters, like academic years, ebb and flow. You'll notice that semesters have a pretty predictable pattern. I mean, how many of you related to the description that I just gave of where you are in week 10? If you're thinking, wow, Kathy's in my head, no, you're wrong. I'm not in your head. I've just been in academia for more than 15 years, and the pattern of the semester is always the same. So why do you keep thinking it's going to be different this time? Why do you think that all weeks of the semester should be the same? I propose that it would be better to plan for the semester as it actually is instead of how you wish it would be. To do this, you need the right balance of planning and self-forgiveness. In episode 4, I talked about creating your ideal week. I emphasized that the ideal week is ideal and that the purpose of that exercise was to, 1, take a real look at how many hours you have in the day and how you can or cannot fit everything in, and 2, experiment with time blocking and stacking so that you can start to manage your time and use your tiger time for writing. If you're listening to my podcast for the first time and you don't know what tiger time is, go on back to episode 2. All right, around week 10 of the semester, your ideal calendar has probably gone out the window. The fact that this has happened isn't as important as how you feel about this happening. If you felt like you were doing great with your ideal week and now you feel like a failure because you're barely hanging in there, then that's a problem. Because, as I've said before, I'm all about how your day-to-day life in academia feels. If the semester always feels out of control in weeks 10 until the end, then what can you do before you get to that out of control feeling to stop it in its tracks? And what happens to your writing when those out of control feelings set in? So today, I'm going to talk to you about 5 things that you can do to manage your response to this time of the semester, because you deserve to make it through the inevitable rough patch in the semester centered and calm. So let's dig in. Okay, here we go with number 1. Plan for the shifts in the semester. So get out your calendar and some markers. You know I love a good marker activity. So choose a color that represents caution, maybe a nice sunny yellow, and mark the weeks of the semester when things always get rough. You know the weeks that they are, right? It's now, maybe all the way until the end, but really take a look at your calendar. And maybe you have some particularly stressful deadlines, like maybe you have the program evaluation deadline coming up, or you have a grant deadline, or some other big deadline, and you know that during that week, you're not going to be able to live out your ideal calendar. You're going to have to adjust a little bit in order to prep for that big thing, that big deadline coming up. Also, just know that as you move through the semester, you are not doing so in isolation. The reason that week 10 feels like this for everyone is because it's not just you, but it's also your colleagues, your students, the administration. Everything is rolling at a faster pace and towards its inevitable finish. And so that time of the semester, this week 10 and on, it's a difficult time of the semester, but you know this. So get out that yellow marker and mark that time in your calendar for this semester and for next semester. Stop letting this week take you by surprise, right? So much about how we approach stressful moments in the semester is about how we mentally deal with them, right? Our mindset around that time. So what I'm asking you to do is identify those weeks in advance, way in advance, right? Do it for next semester and for the summer so that you know that, okay, when you look at your planner and you're thinking about what you can possibly accomplish, that if the week is marked yellow, you know you have to be a little bit gentle on yourself and make a really good plan. That brings us to number 2 of the 5 things you can do to manage your response to this time of the semester. And number 2 is manage your expectations of yourself during these weeks, okay? Do not expect the same level of writing productivity during these yellow weeks, right? During they're going to be stressful weeks as you do during the other weeks. If you can hold sacred your writing time, then absolutely do it. That is a goal, but I want you to set a manageable goal. So if you can't hold that writing time sacred, or trying to hold on to that writing time makes you just feel more guilty and overwhelmed, then don't. And I'm going to give you some more actions you can take to hold on to your writing and make sure you get back in the swing of things a little bit later in this podcast. All right, number 3 is forgive yourself. You are amazing. Even your C- work is humanity's A work. So lower the freaking bar and give yourself a break. You are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to not feel busy and overwhelmed. And just because everyone around you is freaking out doesn't mean that you should be freaking out too. Make a plan to do less when the semester hits the fan, not more. This will help you to feel in control. And again, it's so much about how you feel during these times when everybody around you, your students, your colleagues, everyone is kind of starting to freak out. You are allowed to not freak out. You are allowed to pull the brake. You are allowed to slow down, and you are absolutely allowed to lower the bar and give yourself a break. All right, number 4 is define what doing less means to you and do it proudly. 48 hours turnaround time on the email. Is that what doing less means to you? Instead of your normal 24 or answering emails on the same day, if that turnaround time goes to 48 hours, is the world going to end? It's probably not. What if you're backlogged in grading, so you decide to cut an assignment or make it pass fail so that you don't have to read every word of it? Also, world will not end. Excusing yourself from a faculty meeting where all you do is scroll through social media anyway, definitely excuse yourself, okay? So if I'm describing things that feel like, those are scary things to do, they are totally acceptable things to do. And what I want you to do, though, is to take 15 to 30 minutes and make a plan for pulling back on your regular standard of excellence in all things and just be excellent in the things that really matter. Or you know what? Forget excellent. Just be great. The universe and your career can survive 4 weeks of just great from you in order to preserve your mental and physical health for all that amazingness that you're going to do when it's not that time of the semester. Okay. So what I'm asking you to do here is think of what are the things that can slip? What are the things that can slide? I'm asking you to articulate where can you lower your very high bar? All right. And I want you to think about this as planning for success during these yellow weeks, right? During these stressful weeks or potentially stressful weeks or super busy weeks, or again, these moments when, as I'm calling it, when the semester hits the fan. What I want you to do is think about what is going to be your plan for cutting back, slowing down so that you can show up in the places that you need to show up. So if that's in the classroom at this particular moment, if that's helping students to get through this time of the semester, if that's because you have a grant due or some other big project due, then what you're doing is you're making a plan to slow down and pull back so that your reaction to week 10 and on is not that you get completely exhausted and can't come to work. Now, number 5 is make a plan for your writing. So at the beginning of this episode, I suggested that maybe your writing can wait until the other stressors in your semester kind of calm down. But I would love it if you could just keep one little toe wet in the writing waters. So here are some alternatives to completely abandoning your writing ship. All right. So one alternative is to just write for 1 hour during your tiger time, preferably on Monday. So again, get out your calendar, have a look. Can you hold 1 hour on a Monday for your writing, even during this stressful time? Then you can ramp back up to your whatever your normal or your established pace has been for writing during your tiger time. And so that's one option. Another option is to get out your calendar and set up a writing session during your tiger time, of course, for when you'll get back in the game. So it's okay to say, all right, well, it's week 10 and I am looking out over the next, 5 weeks until grades are due. And I am thinking I'm not really going to be able to hold that 1 hour on a Monday. So instead, what I want you to do is look at the next opportunity you are going to have for scheduling a writing block. And just put that in your calendar and keep this date with your writing without fail. And this is not bad. This is just planning. It's not you failing. It is just making a plan that you can stick to. And I can't emphasize enough the feelings of confidence that you will get when you start meeting goals and sticking to plans. This is something that will give you momentum in your career. It'll give you momentum in your writing. So when you can make a plan and stick to it, this is going to help you to build on your writing practice and just be better and happier at work overall. So it is not failing to say that for the next 4 weeks, you're not going to write, or the next 5 weeks, you're not going to write. Instead, you're making a plan, you set a date for yourself, and you keep that date without fail. Now, here's another thing that you can do during these next few weeks, or you can use this as your next writing date with yourself a little farther out after grades are due. Plan a 1-day writing retreat for yourself. All right, so I'm going to give you the lowdown on how to do a 1-day writing retreat with different levels of monetary investment, from free to spending a couple $100. Okay, so the idea of a writing retreat is that you give yourself those big blocks of time that you hardly ever are able to get during a regular semester. This is why we write during our tiger time, because big blocks of time are super hard to come by. The only way that I have found to coach people to find big blocks of time is to coach them to do these writing retreats periodically. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to look for a day where you can block the whole day. So there's no other activities that day, no other meetings, nothing except your writing. Now, you're going to put this on your calendar, and then you've got to do a couple of things. The first thing you have to do is arrange your family's schedules. So if you have family duties, you need to make sure that your partner, if you have a partner, knows what's going on that day so that he or she can figure out, can pick up slack if you need them to. And the other thing that you could do if you don't have a partner, or if you just feel like this is the best approach for you and your family, you can hire somebody, a babysitter or a caretaker, depending on the kind of people you are caring for, to take care of your people and do your duties so that you can really focus on writing. Now, if that's not an option for you either, then you need to plan your writing retreat during a work day, right? So normally you have some amount of care for your dependent people during the day. So use that day. If it has to be from 8 to 4 or 9 to 4 or something like that, totally fine. Okay. You're going to block it off, and you're going to, if you have, you're going to let all the important people who need to know that you are doing this writing retreat, you need to let them know. The other thing you're going to do is you're going to go somewhere else. Okay, so not your office, not your home office, some other place. If you want to do this for free, then you could book a room in the library or call a neighboring department and see if you could get their conference room for the day or something like that. Look at the university spaces that are available to you and pick one where you're not going to run into people. Okay, that's the key, is that you're looking for some place where you're not going to run into people, you're not going to get interrupted. So you can find a place like that on campus. You could also certainly go to a coffee shop. The advantage of a coffee shop is that you can always have access to food and beverages that you don't have to prepare. It takes a little bit of budget, right? If you're going to work someplace on campus, then you'll need to bring food with you, because that is another thing. You need to pre-plan all your food and drinks so that that is not something you're thinking about on the day of your writing retreat. If you choose to do it at a coffee shop, again, I would choose a coffee shop maybe one town over from yours, or a coffee shop where people, you don't know that many people. Okay, so you're looking for not your normal place, because you don't want to bump into your neighbors and you don't want to have people starting up conversations with you. You want to really be able to focus and hole up and not interact with people during your writing retreat. Now, if you want to spend a little bit of money, another thing that you could do is to get a hotel room or an Airbnb. And the advantage of this, right, is that you really shut out the world and you can order room service. And for a couple $100, just get yourself away from it all and focus on your writing. Doing this kind of homemade one-day writing retreat takes some pre-planning and can take a little bit of budget if you decide to go that route, but it is so worth it. It's worth it because after a lull in writing, it helps you to re-inspire your writing and breathe a little bit of life into it by giving it the attention that it needs. And that's why I'm suggesting it here. If you know that you're going to have a lull in your writing, then planning a one-day retreat, a homemade retreat, a self-made retreat is a great way to get back in the game when your lull is over, or to get some writing done in the midst of all the competing stressors and tasks and projects at the end of the semester. Remember that the most important thing about your writing practice is to continue to create positive feedback loops between you and your writing. For more on that, see episode 5. Above all, we want writing to feel good, and I want you to feel good. A focus on how you feel, how you manage your reactions to stressful situations, and how you maintain a positive relationship with your writing can help you avoid burnout and keep your voice out in the world, influencing your field. If you're looking for support around your academic writing and you are a pre-tenure woman on the tenure track, we are opening enrollment for my Amplify program, and you can join today. Amplify is a year-long support program for pre-tenure academic women who want help writing and publishing more and doing it without breaking down or burning out. We know that the pre-tenure process is grueling, and the purpose of the Amplify program is to make it less so. We do this by giving you the skills and techniques that you need in order to manage your academic life and keep your writing projects flowing, and by giving you deep peer support and mentoring from my team of coaches and myself. If you want to do pre-tenure prep so that it feels less like hazing and more like inspiration, then Amplify is the program for you. To apply, just go to bit.ly/pre-tenure. The application process has a couple of steps to it. First, you will fill out a short form asking you about yourself, where you are pre-tenure, and what are the obstacles keeping you from writing and publishing, maybe to the level that you want to be. After you submit that form, you'll be prompted to schedule a 10-minute call with one of my coaches where they ask you questions to make sure you're a good fit for the program, and you get to meet them because they are an integral part of delivering Amplify. If everybody agrees you're a good fit and you are interested in enrolling in the program, the final step is a 30-minute tenure strategy session with me. This is a free call, and that's where I explain to you all the details of the program and how they uniquely will help you. I talk about how the program fits the kinds of problems that you're finding yourself in pre-tenure. And then if everybody is ready to go, then we enroll you in Amplify and you get started. For more details, again, please go to bit.ly/pre-tenure and apply. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time loving on yourself and your writing by listening to this episode. If you'd like to continue the conversation, join the over 7,000 academic women in the I Should Be Writing Facebook group. Just go to facebook.com/groups/I Should Be Writing or search for I Should Be Writing inside your Facebook app. See you inside.